One of the most popular sort of punching bags for conservatives right now is the state of California. They love to say California is a liberal hellhole. California is what happens when the left-wing policies of Democrats run rampant. But the truth is that that's bogus. And a few weeks ago, I did a story called So-Called Failed State of California Sets Economic Growth Record. And in that story, I went through the economic data, and it turns out California is actually doing really well. Economic growth is some of the highest in the US in California. The economic surplus in California, the budget surplus is at a record level. So those claims about California throughout the pandemic have been false. Another talking point is people are fleeing California. Everybody's leaving California. It's going to be left empty. The cupboards will be bare of people, as Trump likes to say. We now have a new study about that, and it is also just a lie. Republicans want to paint California as a place that people are just desperate to get out of. They'll go anywhere. They'll just get me out of California. And it never passed the sniff test, because if people really were getting out, their magical, perfect, rational market would lead to a significant drop in the cost of living in California. Basic supply and demand. Rents would go down. Property values would go down. That's not happening. But putting the sniff test aside, there's a new study from the University of California system, which found that the number of people moving out of California to other states is up slightly compared to 2012, but it's at very similar numbers to what we saw throughout the mid and late 2000s. There are some people moving out as people move out of any state, but at historically sort of normal levels. Meanwhile, there are still young people moving into California at relatively high rates. They're also going other places. Some of them are going to Texas. Some of them are going to Colorado. You do see some older folks moving out of California, but it's really no big deal. The percentage of Californians who plan to leave the state, when you ask them, has remained basically the same over the last 2 years. 23% of California voters say, I am seriously considering leaving the state. That was 24% 2 years ago, basically the same. That sounds huge. And obviously, if a quarter of California left California, it would be a cataclysm economically. But remember that most people who say they're considering leaving don't. I mean, I've been considering moving to Miami for 5 years. And then I realize I don't really know anybody there. I'd be far from my family. I'm going to stay put, at least for now. But like, if you ask me at many points, I would consider leaving and going to Florida. Sure. Yeah, that's something I've considered. I'm not really going to do it. And that's for most people. One interesting thing is that there's a big partisan gap, though, on that question. If you ask Democrats, 21% say, I'm considering leaving California. If you ask Republicans, 30% say, I'm considering leaving California. No surprise. Politically, it's very en vogue right now to say you're thinking of leaving California. Guys, I'll do it. Don't make me, because I'm just one day from renting a U-Haul and getting out of here. Most people don't do it. And it's important to remember that if people did leave California in large numbers, the heroic, perfect market that the Republicans love to harp on would lead to lower prices. That's what Republicans claim is the problem in California. They say prices are too high, real estate costs too much, rent is too damn high. That's caused by demand. There's a reason it's more expensive to live in San Francisco than it is to live in, Tulsa, Oklahoma. No offense to Oklahoma. Education is better in California. There are higher salaries in California than in Oklahoma. There's more access to culture. There's more access to airports with direct flights to the rest of the world. There's a higher standard of healthcare. There's better infrastructure. Demand drives prices up. Doesn't mean people in Oklahoma are bad people. It's just the market that these right wingers point to. That's why it's expensive to be in California. But right wingers just feel like everybody's leaving California. So do we pay attention to facts or do we pay attention to feelings? I forget how that statement goes. Over time, people may leave California. Who knows? But it's just not happening right now to any significant degree. California is not failing economically, and people are not fleeing California. That's the truth. It may change in the future, but it's not happening right now.